This is Richie at Growfold, and I'm here with Janae Simone and Stephen of I Live Plants. This is season 2 for Cultivation Corner, and we have a special guest today. Can you tell who it is? It is Plant Poppy. He's from Dallas, so super excited. We got you on the show for Cultivation Corner. You know, we've been getting some good guests up here. I know Lupita was on the episode the previous week, and so we are just bringing out some more guests today, and super excited to have Plant Poppy Fidel share his journey with plants. So I just wanted to say thank you for spending our time at Plant Keeper. So just one thing I wanted to say about it is Plant Keeper is a nursery out in the Dallas area. It's one of those nurseries that I think a lot of people don't really know. Is this your first time here?
This is my first time here, and I am
Shame on
blown.
you. You live in Dallas.
Literally. This is stunning.
So,
so gorgeous.
Yeah, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about the positives and negatives that plants bring, finding plants through sobriety. Like, I know that you kind of mentioned that. So, Fidel, go ahead and just tell us about yourself, introduce yourself to the cultivators, and you take on the show.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? I'm Fidel Pineda, the Plant Poppy, aka. I've been collecting plants probably since 2001, and I've switched over to semi-hydro because I was murdering a lot of plants in soil. My
serial killer?
Kind of, yeah. And over water. I love my plants way too much. And I actually have intertwined my journey with sobriety when I started collecting plants. And I actually was going back before when you guys asked me to be on, and thank you guys for having me on. Like, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I had to go back, and I was just like, who was the first person that gave me a plant? And it was actually Plants with Dirt on Instagram. Derek, he does lives, and you see a bunch of lives. And I remember being on one of his lives one day, and I was just like, I'm starting my sobriety journey. I'm like, I need a sobriety plant. And he was just like, all right. He's like, which one do you want? He's like, I'm sending it to you. And I think that really started my inspiration with my sobriety, and also like how generous someone was to get me started on that. To just be like, I'm going to send this guy a free plant because he's starting a sobriety program. Yeah. So that just kind of intertwined with the way that I react with everybody that I meet in this amazing plant community that we're, excited to be a part of, honestly.
That Dallas community is just tight.
Yeah,
that
it
Dallas
is.
Plant community. Yeah.
It definitely is. I mean, like I said, Dallas, and Plant Poppy is from Dallas, so that's why we're bringing in a bunch of the Dallas guests here. I don't know. I remember just meeting Fidel at Texas Aeroid Show. So shout out to the Texas Aeroid Show. And I remember watching Fidel speak about plants, speak about his journey. So for me, and the reason why I wanted you to be on the Cultivation Corner is I really want you to talk us through on how you found plants, what they do for you, just anything in regards to that. Share your story for the cultivators.
Yeah, so I have a couple of quotes that I kind of live by with plants, and I actually wrote them down because I'm very forgetful, to be honest. But one of them is like that plants teach us to reach for the light.
What?
I like that.
Oh my goodness,
and
goosebumps!
And then they also remind us to keep growing, and I think they teach us patience, and they also teach us to let go of old things, and it's really just been something that has really balanced me out. And then joining so many things, like getting in touch with my plant community, like Plants by Vidiana, like shout out to her, like she does plant swaps so often.
Yeah.
And of course you can find all the goodies that you want, but there's also like a sense of community that that there's other people that enjoy the hobby just as much as you do. And it's been really something that along joining the Begonia Society, that they have monthly meetings every Sunday, and these are things that just kind of kept me focused and motivated to kind of just be on a whole new path of growing and really learning about so many more things that I wouldn't have access to if it wasn't for all these amazing resources that we have in Dallas, for the community.
Hey, you mentioned there was a quote that you just said about light. Right?
Yes.
What can you repeat that?
Yeah, so I say that plants teach us to reach towards the light.
To reach towards the light. Let me tell you something. Because of that, I was suffering from depression for a long time, and there was a situation and there was a time when I could not let light in my house. my blinds would stay closed, no light would come in. And I remember when I moved back down here to Dallas, I said, I can't live like that, but what's going to force me to kind of like open up my blinds, right? And it was, driving past, believe it or not, Plant Keeper, day in and day out. I stopped here and said, let me get a plant. That's gonna keep me grounded. That's gonna make me open up my blinds and believe it or not, now keep them open. I keep them open all day. So I resonate so much with that saying of it helps you reach for the light, because it really it really helped me, just allow light into my house. So I got a question for you in terms of like the biggest mental health benefits that plants give you. What do you feel like that is in your plant journey and keeping plants?
I think for me, I think we all know that keeping plants is a beautiful hobby, but it's also not the easiest.
True.
Yeah.
Not
100%.
I don't think anybody's collection is perfect. I mean, that's just really what it is, and I think that
I don't know. Social media kind of feeds us to think that every single leaf is perfect. There's no browning. There's no tips. There's no leggy plants. So
yeah, I mean, people create the image that they want to create, and I'm good for that. Like, my plants have really good days sometimes, but my plants also have really bad days sometimes. And I think for me is finding the beauty in imperfection. Like, I had a Monstera mint that I grew from TC. It was stunning, 3-4 leaves. I'm like, man, keeping its color. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about this. Then it just started deteriorating. But in the midst of like the oldest leaf dying off, there was like still this small growth. And I think for me, that was something that I took to heart. And I'm like, okay, even in all of the ugliness and all of the imperfections, it's still growing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fighting for life.
It's fighting
Just
for
like
life.
your Ethereum.
Like you're in there, right?
Yeah, it sure is right now.
And so I think that that really just resonates with me, and I take that day in and day out. Like, nothing is perfect. And you find the beauty in the small imperfections that you have throughout your day in and day out life. And
I love that. Finding the beauty in the imperfections. I love that. What would you say you've learned about yourself now through your plant journey and keeping plants?
A little bit about my background. I was a bartender for a really long time, and shout out to my service industry people. Like, I did it for a really long time, but it also led me on a path of what I found entertainment to be, fun. That really wasn't. I mean, if you're in the service industry, it's a circle. It's like people come and see you, you go and see people. A lot of that can lead to over drinking, and drinking is not really frowned upon because it's so social. But a lot of people don't realize that if you're having 5 or 6 drinks in a day on a night out, like that's kind of binge drinking,
And that's daily, right? Not just one.
I mean daily, and it kind of led me down a road that I didn't really want to travel down. Before you notice, it's kind of like what am I doing after work all the time? It's fun. The memories are great, but I totally forgot where I was going with this.
It's okay.
But it's almost like it's a moderation thing, or just an understanding in self of what path you want to go on, too.
Yes. The initial question that you asked was,
I guess, what have you learned about yourself through plants?
That's right. So what it taught me really was the fact that I can step away from those things and find peace in things that don't involve going out, that don't involve drinking, that are basically like, I can come home and tend to my plants, and there's peace in that. Every morning that I wake up, I kid you not, there's a cup of coffee in my hand, and I'm looking for new leaves.
I know, and I see that even on his Instagram stories. I'm like, okay, Fidel's posting at 5 a.m.
That's
you already
right.
know he's got his little coffee. There's a little shot of his little anthuriums and semi-hydro, and that's the exciting part, right? Like, just the whole, you go from one industry of like bartending, entertaining people, having the drinks. I don't mind a drink or 2 or 3 max, but
he kept going.
At the end of the day, like you were saying, just having a different type of routine, reframing how your life goes, and that's what I'm hearing from your plant journey.
Yes.
So I don't know, like, as far as like your plants specifically, how have plants like really helped you through your journey of sobriety? Because I know that's something that maybe not a lot of people are comfortable talking about. Maybe some people are not. I wouldn't even say alcoholic, right? Because that there's such a
Don't
negative
necessarily have to be an alcoholic
Exactly.
to have sobriety.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of ties into like mental health as
Sure.
well, where like we don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're even mentioning like sobriety, like, can you go in a little bit further with like that? Just the
of course.
plants.
And I definitely want to add to, you know, like there's nothing wrong with having a drink. There's nothing wrong.
We all had.
I just think for me in my point in time, like sobriety was just really good for me, and it just so happened that plants were there to entertain my time, to teach me patience, to teach me things that I had no clue about. Like I didn't know what a node was. I didn't know where to cut a philodendron.
So send nodes, not nudes.
Send nodes. Always.
Sorry, never mind.
And those come out better at the end, anyways.
I know that's right.
They sure do.
And so yeah, it's taught me patience, and it's kept me busy.
Yeah.
And I think really the gift of giving back to other people, like I say it all the time, like I love sharing knowledge. I love sharing the things that I know that may work for some people and may not work for others. The DFW Begonia Society has really kept me occupied and just kept my mind busy and learning so much more about stuff that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, there's nothing wrong in making mistakes because you're going to continue to learn. That's the only way you learn is to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what has really helped me a lot with keeping my time occupied, like sobriety, and of course, like the gym. You know, like I'm trying to get like this guy over here. You know?
And the silent plant.
This plant show.
Yeah, I know.
This plant.
But yeah, that's been a major part of it for me.
You know what? So it's so funny that you mentioned that because it's almost like finding joy in doing something else, and plants happen to be that. I went home. I'm from New York, and I went home over the holiday break, and you know, I asked my best friend. I said, "Hey, you know, like I've never been to the botanical gardens here in New York. Okay, so typically." I hang out with her. Shout out to Jess, by the way. I love you for watching.
Hey,
you know
Jess.
that. You know that.
Hey, Jess.
Hey.
But we would, and not to put our business out on Front Street, but we would
Put it on Front Street.
we get messed up. Okay,
Yeah.
like we go to the bar
Yes.
and all that stuff. We went to the botanical gardens, and after we left, I said, Jess, are we growing up? Like we actually had so much fun at the botanical, and it was like we normally would have gone out for a drink. And I said, look at us. I said, we are actually going out to the holiday train show to enjoy this as opposed to going to a bar. And
Beautiful.
that meant, it just showed me so much more to life. Like this is something else that we can do to kind of like be happy.
It gives you that same feeling,
And
that
it gave you the
same
feeling.
adrenaline that alcohol can do, but you can realize, okay, I can have the same feeling
Without having to drink.
Yeah, with plants.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's that intoxication, I would say, with plants. Just even looking at like the greenery, the new growth.
Yeah.
Just all of that hard work that you put into plants, right? And it's the thing, though, especially Plant Poppy. I will say that you are a true plant influencer because there's really different definitions of influencers. Some people will say an influencer is somebody that is professionally influencing people, but even in the plant community with plant influencing, I think your messaging, and this is why it was really, I talked to Janae and Steven, and where they may not be as familiar with you, but even just listening to your messaging at the Texas Aeroid show, that was really inspiring. And for me, as we all create content, right? Mm-hmm. There is a certain niche that we have, but what kind of influencing do we do? And I think yours is a really positive message. It's very personable. Like I could just see, I'm like, this is what is Fidel doing all day, every day. He has a routine. And it's just interesting how it's changed from maybe bartending to tending plants. And so like for me, what do you do in terms of like, what are the challenges that you face with growing plants?
Growing plants. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I will say that my first obstacle was soil. Like soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Substrates.
Yes.
I mean, right now in my place, I don't get natural light at all. Like, I don't even get like morning sun, like where.
What are you, north facing? Like,
yeah, like so I get everything. Everything is under a grow light at my house, and it took me killing a couple of plants to find out that I was an over lover of my plants. Like,
so they went to plant heaven. You sent a lot of them to plant heaven.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all trial and error, you know?
Yeah,
and so that was one of my biggest obstacles because I was like, why can't I get these things to thrive, you know? And I always say, like, you have to kind of go back down to your basics, like medium. Like, what medium are you using? You're watering, and then also, like, what kind of light are you getting, you know? Yeah. So when people ask me to assess a problem or to do something for them at their house, I'm like, okay, well, what kind of light are you getting? How often would you like to water? And so switching really over to semi-hydro saved my collection. I don't know if it wasn't for semi-hydro, I probably would not be collecting plants. And I'm not afraid to say that because soil in my environment, right? And it's also about like your environment, because the environment is key, like in all aspects of life. Like, what does your environment look like? And for me, it just did not work until I figured it out with semi-hydro and with grow lights.
So define semi-hydro. Like, what is the substrate that goes into a semi-hydro?
What is your choice?
What's your choice?
Yeah, so you know, a lot of people say semi-hydro and passive hydro.
I've never heard of passive hydro.
I was about to ask this.
Yeah, so well, technically hydroponics is
straight
water, and it's flowing water,
right?
You know, and people grow like vegetables and stuff like that. So passive hydro is something that's kind of like sitting in water. So, which is, if you're using self-watering pots, that's basically what it's doing, like you having it in sitting water. So I swear by Lechuza Pond.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Get it back in stock, please.
Amazon, please.
And shout out to Lechuza. Like,
Lechuza.
I've been talking about your product, and it saved me. Like, it saved my collection. That was one of the biggest hurdles for me because there was a point where I was like, I can't get these things to live. I'm just gonna like, maybe I'll come back to it next year. And somebody was like, try Pawn Out. They were like, try Licca. I didn't like the way Licca looked aesthetically. No shade to anybody growing in Licca. I heard it works great for people.
It's a cheaper alternative than Lechuza.
It is a cheaper alternative. But I also did try it out for a couple of months, and the buildup on it was just unbearable to me.
Did it just get the white minerals?
The mineral deposits, and you know, like I kind of like fertilize a lot because you have to. Hydroponics, like you have to fertilize. But Lechuza saved.
I'm learning a lot too because I converted a lot to semi-hydro, but keep on going with that because I'm taking notes.
Yeah, and it saved me a lot, and I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where people are like, "Oh, it was doing great," and they all crashed. And I think a lot of that, I've been growing in Lechuza Pond for 4 years now. And I've converted small plants. I have a big Mama Thai, like in a 10-gallon like pot, and she's thriving. Like,
and just Lechuza, not Lechuza in pond?
Just Lechuza
straight.
Pond.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you those roots are really loving it. Because it gets so much air.
I'm actually kind of scared of like that it's probably outgrown it, and I'm sure it'll let me know because the roots will probably break the pot. But until
they're powerful.
Yeah, so I'm like, we'll wait.
And she'll stop growing too, because I know Janae, you had to repot.
Yeah, because it wasn't growing any.
Even if you flooded it with like that Soltec grow light. Shout out to Soltec, by the way, too.
Yeah, shout out to Soltec. And I think that's really what saved me. And I will say to people that if you're growing in Lechuza Pond or any hydroponics, whether it's your DIY pond or Licca, like, flush out your plants at least once every 3 months, because that's what's I think that's what saved me and has my plants have not crushed. So, and I'm going strong 4 years now, and I plan to keep going as long as I can to kind of really research the longevity of growing
semi-hydro.
Passive hydro.
That's interesting too. So you mentioned 4 years in growing plants. How long have you been growing plants? Like Janae, I was going to ask for you as well. Because we all kind of found our little journeys. So I'm just curious.
So for me, since 2020.
Okay.
For me, since 2021.
So kind of in the same range as everybody. That's interesting. Okay. So what else do we got over here?
Well, speaking of plants, and we all started our plant journeys around the same time, what are your favorite plants to grow? Like, literally. Like,
I know. I follow Poppy.
Honestly, it's really been a journey for me of finding what I like. And
Yeah.
I think I advise for everyone to go through this journey, because I'm not gonna lie, I used to be like, I can't get into anthuriums. Like, they all look the same to me.
Yeah.
I
And
was
I-
like that.
Yeah.
Still
And
a
like,
little bit.
y'all don't come for me, right? Because my collection has switched over to a lot of anthuriums.
Yes.
But it's really more of like, I used to say it, and I'm not, I mean, there's posts, so I can't really deny this stuff, but I used to say all the time, like, oh, you're going to cross one leaf that looks like another leaf. Like, but now that I see the diversity of what these leaves can look like, I've been drawn into, like, and with the anthurium world, and it's a whole nother ballgame, especially when you're able to create something. Shout out to Steve's Leaves, Ryan Wilhelm. He actually gave me the opportunity to create my own hybrid.
We love
Awesome.
Steve's Leaves.
Yeah.
Love
Yes.
Steve's Leaves. And I'm so excited to, once the seeds take, like, to be able to have my own hybrid that I can see grow out
And you
and
create it.
that I
Are
created.
you
I
going
love
to have
that.
like a name for it, or you have to figure out what it looks like first? Because that's really interesting. You're
Yeah.
going to have your own cultivar.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to stick to the rules of leaving it as what the name is.
Okay.
But, there's so much to do with anthuriums when you make seedlings, because you kind of have to pick what you're looking for, what characteristics you want it to have. But my plant journey, like, I remember the first thing that I wanted to do was collect each and every single pothos. And
Those.
yes.
We
those-
love pothos.
Okay.
Basic
Yes.
is basic. Basic is easy.
I mean, I wanted
I love
the
it.
Love it.
Jula, the Snow Queen,
Yeah.
and I had all of them.
Okay.
And now
Are
I'm
you
just,
propagating any of them?
You
like,
can give
'cause
me a
you could
cutting.
give
We
me-
won't have the prop lip, which is going to be another future episode, y'all.
So
I mean-
I will say that I'm down to one out of
What?
all the
Wait,
time.
Wait, one
Out of all the
all
pothos,
the varieties.
which one is it? Can we guess? Do we need to just guess?
Is it the
Mandula,
No,
No,
Ooh,
what?
Snow
Mandula.
Queen.
no, it's. I would say it's probably the top tier of pothos.
The top tier.
Is it a Japanese pothos? Of
The
course.
Japanese
Wait, didn't you just post about
Dang.
Hold on,
Japanese
hold on.
photos?
Give me some clues. Is it more green or more white? Does it have texture?
It's the Japanese global.
Oh,
wow.
They're
Yeah.
global. It's a tricolor.
That
Okay,
one's
so can I get a
gorgeous.
cut into that?
It's so
Okay.
slow though, right?
Snip, snip.
It's so slow.
Is it?
And yeah, and I think that's the beauty of collecting plants, is that there's so many. Like,
Yeah.
I started with
Different.
pothos, and I
Okay.
got into Hoyas.
Yeah.
I started with philodendrons too, but I quickly learned that I don't have the space for them.
Yeah, they
Philodendrons, yes.
they grow
get
They
so
grow,
big.
they grow so quick.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. So, and I was like, well, let me get into Hoyas. Then I realized I don't have the environment to make them bloom like I want to, because I was collecting them for the
Yeah.
flowers.
Yeah.
Those are easier because you can wrap them around the trellis.
Yeah.
Got rid of those. Got rid of a lot of those. Kept my faves. Like pothos, I collected each and every single one. I'm down to one.
I swear you're gonna go
Yeah.
back to pothos. I just feel like it's always a circle.
Okay.
When either you hit plant burnout or you just
Yeah.
want something easy.
Mhm.
It just comes around. But
Yeah.
you're amongst the cultivation corner.
Well, I'll be sure to share with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And,
A
and
little
I,
snip, snip.
I'm actually
Yes.
a little upset because I didn't have time to pick something out for you guys. But I
Oh, don't
definitely-
worry about that.
I
It's
definitely
not
will
like
have
you wouldn't be
something
on
for you
another
guys.
episode. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh
like
yeah,
But-
you're
Yeah.
always invited.
you're always
to
invited to
see.
cultivation
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah. And,
Mhm.
and
But you're mentioning plants, right?
yeah.
You know, Steven, Janae, and myself. You need to be plant influenced today
Uh-oh.
To
for an
buy,
aglionema. You need an aglionema.
Oh, yeah.
I know you have
Do
one.
you have
He has
any?
one, right?
Which
Tell us.
one?
Woo!
I couldn't even tell
I
you.
can
the
tell
name.
you, I
My
saw
best
it.
friend gave it to
I
me,
bought one.
actually.
It's the
Well,
pink
just
diamond,
now-
the emerald.
I think
Oh.
that might, I think
Emerald.
that might be the one
It's
that
a
I have.
tiny one.
I'll
It
send
is-
you a
You have
picture
good
of it.
taste.
Saw it in his love stories.
For
you know.
accountability, I'll send you a picture.
I peep on that, but
Yeah.
you should really look at aglionemas.
Yeah,
They
they're
are
just so
stunning.
easy, and they love the semi-hydro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't require that much light depending on which
Yeah.
one you get.
See, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an
Because
easy
I thought
care
of all the
plant.
color. Like,
Mhm.
it
And
would
you would
need.
think, well, yes, for your
More
like,
colorful ones, but they can
Colorful.
still live.
They can
They
still
can still
do well.
live.
They may
Yeah.
not push at that color, but and that goes to a point. I know it's a little bit off of that, but as far as how you mentioned Hoyas, Anthuriums, Pothos, Epipremnum,
Mhm.
what is it about a plant like, say, an Aglaonema that doesn't get talked about? Because I know you do plant
Mhm.
influencing. Well, why is an Aglaonema not something that people are trying to hybridize, collect, in your opinion?
That's a really good question, to be honest with you, because I think everybody went through the whole pink thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh, it's pink. I need it in my life," and I can see the beauty of that in it.
Yeah.
But there's so many varieties, and I think they're just a really unknown species right now.
I think so too.
And I think, well, what is the main Aglaonema that you would say that's like the most
common.
Common.
With the cyan?
Silver
Cyan,
beige.
silver beige.
I think there was
Yeah.
one that
There's only
gave.
3 of them that come out. Yeah, that people know about.
I think
red
there's
cyan.
one that just gave a bad rep to them. In my
Well,
opinion.
for me, it was a silver bay.
That's
one
the
of my
one you
first-
sent to.
Yeah, I sent the plant having like 3 months after I bought it.
You overwatered it.
I
That's
overwatered
why.
it, but see, it left a bad taste in my mouth because I just, that was my start my plant journey.
Yeah.
And, you kill a plant, and it's just like, oh, well, damn, maybe I'm not good at this. But I had to reintroduce myself to aglaonemas with I got a ruby. And
Plant Keeper has rubies, by the way, so y'all need to come out here
Yeah,
to get
this place is
aglaonema
gorgeous.
rubies.
yeah, it really is. But after I got that ruby, I'm
Good
sold.
to go.
I'm good.
Yeah.
That ruby is
They're so gorgeous.
gorgeous now.
So you need to come home with
Just an
one.
aglaonema.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
to
that's
plant
okay.
pressure.
Today.
y'all.
I think I-
Today.
Today.
Yeah. Well, I know this is off topic too, but I want to ask you guys, what is one plant for you guys that I'll go first, right? But what is one plant for you guys that puts a bad taste in your mouth? Like you said that one. You have to, for
Yeah.
me, it's calathea. Like
Oh my gosh, you stole
yeah,
it!
that's nice.
Calatheas are the biggest
Oh my
heartbreaks.
goodness. Mm.
yeah, that was the first one that broke my heart. And every time I see a picture of it, like I get a little twitch in my shoulder. Like,
So-
yeah,
way.
it's like triggered.
So, with calatheas, kind of attribute to somebody that's super attractive at, say, we're going to say the bar or club. Very attractive, beautiful foliage. But as soon as you let them in your life, you don't know the extra baggage
They
that
so
comes with
toxic.
it.
Heartbreak.
They're
And,
so toxic.
and for anybody who does have
Demanding.
calatheas, like if you're growing them, shout out to you. It's no hate.
If
it's
they're
just they don't
thriving-
love me. If they're thriving,
Okay,
then you're the
yeah.
real one.
Yeah.
I've seen some
Give us a-
thriving ones, and I
Yes.
just kind of have to like scroll past the post because
I get so jealous so quick,
I get so jealous
right?
too. I'm
Like,
like,
what
I
are
mean,
you
I don't
doing?
Like
that
the
I'm
Leica
not
Queen.
doing?
Have you seen her orbifolia?
Oh, she don't play
that's
with
in,
that. Like a
Leica?
queen.
Hers is humongous and big, and
Who's
I'm just
this?
like,
Leica
the Leica Queen.
Oh yeah.
Her orbifolia.
Yeah.
So they-
But you got to shout out to Leica Queen.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Leica
We love
Queen.
I think
Leica
it's like
Queen.
a 10,
you.
12 inch. I don't know. It's a big planter. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
agree. It would be calatheas.
Same here. I actually bought a calathea from Plant Keeper, and I gave it back.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which one was
It
it?
was the
You brought it back to
the
foster
medallion.
care?
I brought
To
it back.
foster care.
Yeah, no. I listen. It was like you're going back to your parents because
Yeah.
I can't take care of you. You're just too demanding. There was nothing I can do to prevent crispy
Yeah.
leaves. There was no. I said, take it back, take it back, take it back.
Yep.
Like no more.
Mine was a very slow death too. That was
Really?
my calathea.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Poor
It
thing.
was slow, and I tried to save it. Just did not do well.
So whenever you first buy plants, what is your personal I don't know, I guess transition period from the soil to the semi-hydro? Because you get, or I've read so many people like, oh, you need to wait, they need to acclimate, blah blah blah, or do you just go ahead and do it? I personally just like to get out the way.
I get
go
out
ahead
the
and
way,
do
too.
it. Take out the
Oh,
soil,
look at it.
rinse it off, put it in. If you survive, you do. If you don't, bye.
I mean, yeah, I really think it's environment. Like, a lot of my stuff lives in ambient. I have one cabinet. I have another one under the bed, which I'm probably going to have to build eventually. But sometimes I do like give it 24 hours to acclimate to your environment. I actually got an import order the other day that I was like, it was stuck in the mail for 8 days. I'm like, this is going to be...
Wow.
It wasn't green spaces, right?
It was not,
Okay.
no. And
They do
I-
well. You need to get with
cultivators,
me.
please remind these three that when they do another import order, they need to reach out to the plant poppy because I'm going to go in on the order with you guys.
All right.
We got you.
yeah,
We
We
got
got
you.
you because
Yeah.
we
We
save
got
on the
you.
shipping and,
Yeah.
love
Yes.
y'all green spaces. You
Yeah,
already know
literally.
with that.
Yeah.
we got
And,
you.
We got you.
Honestly, like sometimes I wait, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
A lot of people are like, give it a week, give it a month.
Right.
Don't change the medium. Honestly, like I have stuff that comes in and I'm so anxious and I just want to get it in semi-hydro that of course you got to spray it down for pests,
Mhm.
insecticidal
Yes.
soap. I'll wait like a week and I'll spray it down with like some Azomax. Give it a
See, I don't know
What's
anything.
Azomax?
Can you tell us about Azomax?
Come on,
This is
I'm-
why
I
we
can
barely
have
say
to talk about
Mental
Azomax.
notes for every single
Okay.
thing.
What
we're
is
saying right
Azomax?
now.
Like, is
So-
it a spray?
So
A granule?
Azomax is a miticide, and it's a little on the pricier side, but
Is it worth it? I'm sure it is
I
if
know.
you're using it.
I haven't dealt with flat mites
Ooh.
so bad, like up until I got into anthuriums, and like you guys see like all these beautiful pictures of people posting these amazing anthuriums,
Yeah.
right? Well, flat mites are invisible, so you can't see them, and you can't see the damage until the new leaf is out.
Really?
So they actually like kind of like get into the leaf before it even like.
So they wait for the new leaf.
Yeah, so they're probably like already chewing on it before it emerges and stuff. Like in the
I've
process.
never heard of flat mites. Is that like an Ethereum problem, or is it can that hit Aglaonemas?
I think it's really common in anthuriums, and I've been battling with it. And the thing that has really helped me is to isolate them for at least a week or two. Spray them down. You have to spray them down consecutively because different bugs have different life cycles.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but and just isolating them and waiting for new growth and making sure that new leaf is.
What's the visual cue?
Yeah, on the is it the leaf? Like when you know you got a pest.
It looks like little stardust on the leaves.
Oh, okay.
Well, and anthuriums, there's a bunch of that are velvet, like they're velvety. So it's more common to see that when they emerge, and then you have all these little speckles on there, and you're like, well, what is that? And then you can't see anything from your naked eye.
Right.
So it's really like microscopic, So it's been a pain, but it's been a learning experience.
Yeah. Flat mites. Yeah, that's a first. I haven't heard of that.
And this is why we have guests on Cultivation Corner for season 2. Like,
Exactly.
I'm learning something new here. And so as far as like plant influencing, right? What is your messaging that you have in terms of just what you post? Like, what is the intent for some of that being? Because I know you mentioned obviously finding like plants being therapeutic through your sobriety. Is it something that you post consistently? Like, what does that look like for you as a plant influencer?
I think for me, your content is really what message are you sending? And ultimately, is it for entertainment or is it for educational purposes? What really draws me into having a following is to be able to share my knowledge with everyone that I come across. Because if my plants are successful, your plants need to be successful. Especially if we can have a conversation about growing or mediums or pest prevention. Like, to me, I learned so much from the people that follow me and the people that I follow. It's just a constant knowledge journey. And for me, it just really boils down to that. Like, what is your content creation? Is it authentic? Is it for entertainment, or is it educational based? And I've been so lucky to be able to be myself.
I love it, and that's the reason I was drawn to you.
That's what matters.
And to be honest, and to be my full authentic self, not to paint a pretty picture, to be honest with everyone and be like, I deal with this. Like, my pictures aren't the best. Like, I'm dealing with this right now. And I think that's just a really accountable type of person to be, to give everybody the whole scope from the beauty of it down to the nitty gritty of it.
Your true authentic self, despite the flaws.
Yeah, it's a perfect draw for viewers, because you always know that someone's going to resonate with you, someone's going to get something out of what you put out. I always say this, listen, you look at value, right, and your product. I'm from old school, so if you help one person, you help, that kind of like settles it for me, and I think that, through your journey and what you've been able to, share with people, you've helped people, through their challenges in life, whether it be, drinking or, transfer that to any sort of substance, right? There is a light that you've given people to understand that, hey, maybe the challenge might be rough, but this is how you cope, right? This is how you persevere. This is how you stay resilient in this battle, and you take one day at a time, and here you are sitting with us talking about it. So, right?
Yeah, and it's really a beautiful thing. I always tell people, like, take 24 hours at a time.
That's great.
That's all you have ahead of you. If you're trying to stay away from certain things, or if you're trying to be a part of certain things, then you have those hours in the day to make it a part of your day, or to get away from it, And it's really inspiring when the people that I've met at like plant shows and stuff, and they reach out to me and they're like, I'm so many days sober, and like, like, I appreciate you for sharing your story, and that to me is great. Or even to someone that's like, hey, you saved my plant from dying, like, and
both ways.
It goes both ways.
It's a balance. And I love that. And
It's beautiful.
I think I mentioned that the other day in one of my posts that I said it doesn't matter the amount of followers that I have.
Yeah.
It's the interactions that I have with everybody.
Mhm.
That's what makes it worth it.
Yeah,
That's
the
the value.
interaction.
It really, that one
Yeah.
really resonated with me because, especially all of us, Janae, Steven, myself, and even Cultivation Corner, sometimes you look at those numbers, how many subscribers you have. But then sometimes those subscribers, it really depends on their engagement anyway. So you could have thousands of followers, but if they're not really digesting your content in the way you want them to interact or engage with you, what is the purpose of it?
Mhm.
And that's great that you can really look at not the number of followers, but the amount of people that you influence. So even if it's just one person,
Just one person.
Mhm.
that's legitimately about what you're influencing, that's awesome.
That's what matters. So I guess as we wrap up, we need to do our want or need segment.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So I'll start with you, Richie.
Okay.
So there's the aglaonema. What's the mixed one?
You just said aglionema, so you already
So-
know, y'all. Can we something more challenging? Give me something else, because it's gonna be a need. I'm gonna buy it
But-
anyway.
Which one would you say?
Well,
There's so many plants, y'all. If y'all could just see the whole scope of this, like
We'll do a B-roll.
it's
yeah,
yeah.
This is
There's so many to
crazy.
choose from.
so I'm going to ask you, I have one.
Okay.
The Syngonium Godzilla.
Oh, have you seen that one?
Yes, it's a want for today because I have a lot of Syngoniums already. Like, it used to be a need, but then when I pulled back and really assessed my Syngonium collection, they're just a little bit more challenging than what they put out. You have to water them, and unless I move that Syngonium Godzilla into semi-hydro, it's not gonna function for me, and I don't want to add on to any more plant burnout that I was currently experiencing. But it's a want.
Okay.
Okay, it's a one.
I had to justify that one because it was almost on the need. It's plant keeper.
You
You,
had to
want to
think
buy.
about
You
that
have
one.
to buy something here. So, yeah.
Are there any anthuriums here?
Well, there's flowering anthuriums.
Those are
Um,
pretty.
So, Fidel, since you're the anthurium king over here,
No, not at all. Not at all.
so first of all, what's your take on flowering anthuriums? Is that kind of like your thing?
You can be honest with the viewers because we know.
I'm not gonna say that these aren't stunning, right?
Yeah.
Like I think all plants are stunning. I'm just so drawn right now into the history of all these different breeds and where they come from and
Yeah.
who created them.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little history test that you have to do, because it's like, okay, well, who did the first cross? Then from that cross came this cross.
Yeah.
And then, so it's just like a whole, like, how should I say, kind of almost like a DNA research thing on anthurium. So I think that's what's really gotten me hooked lately on the anthuriums is
Yeah.
lineage, where did it come from?
I love that. Getting
Yeah.
to know more about it.
Yeah, and then like, what is it going to look like when it comes out? You know?
All right, so then I got a one on the an anthurium magnificum.
If it was in front of you today, price
I-
tag $25, 6-inch planter.
I would say it's a want.
Once.
So,
Okay.
Want, okay.
Actually, like my sobriety plant was an anthurium podophyllum.
Oh.
Nice.
So
Okay,
that's
what it was.
it's something about those wavy fingers that
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
that it gives off. So
So
Yeah.
funky looking, but cool.
yeah, yeah.
All right, Janae, we're gonna ask Janae. Monstera Thai constellation.
That would be a one.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's we beefing right now, so
Oh, we gotta talk.
we beefing.
We gotta talk.
And Steve,
Pick one. What do we got?
I would say
Give him a philodendron.
that philodendron,
Red Imperial.
red imperial.
Yeah,
That's gorgeous.
It is.
it's huge though.
Yeah, it is.
They have smaller ones here.
They do?
6-inch ones.
Okay, well,
Is it a want or a need?
so here's the thing. I am struggling a little bit with my philodendrons in certain kinds of substrates, right? I think we talked about that offline. So I'm trying to make my own mix. With that being said, could that be a guinea pig plant for me to put in the new potted mix?
We need it.
I need
Oh
it.
yeah.
Today.
That's a need.
Today. Yeah.
That's a need.
Cool.
Okay, so we are interested in the question of just basically if you could give any advice to someone starting their plant journey, or even like someone who wants to switch from like soil to semi-hydro, like what would be the advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I definitely want to say to everybody that trial and error is a beautiful thing in life. You know, you can definitely try something, and if it fails, it fails, but at least you tried. And I think the most important thing to remember is that we kind of have to be kind to ourselves, because it is a big responsibility to grow these plants that we take the time out of our day to tend to grow. And just for everyone to remember that our journey doesn't have to be perfectly linear. It's okay to have ups and downs in it. As long as we're moving forward, I think that's the beauty of it.
I love that.
It's something I'd like to share.
You said a lot of great quotes.
That's really
like taking mental notes.
But it's really profound, because I mean, even the fact of you need to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that really resonates with a lot of people, because I mean, Stephen, you are struggling with your plants. I was struggling with too many plants, and then there's this certain level of feeling either guilty, upset, and sometimes it's one of I think you mentioned it earlier, where you just have to like learn to let things go. Take things 24 hours at a time.
And I will say this too: if you've fallen, you know how people say, "I'm not in love with this plant anymore."
Yeah.
If you really reach out into your community, there's going to be someone that's looking for that plant, that will love that plant more than what you care for.
I got two Dracaenas that fall right into that category.
And I bet you if you go into your Facebook groups and say, hey, I'm giving these to a good home, there will be someone that will come and get them. And that will appreciate them.
Versus composting them.
Or throwing them away.
If y'all looking for a Dracaena in the DFW area, Steve got you.
I got two. I got a Marginale and a Tornado.
Reach out to them. And they'll give them the love that they deserve. You know?
That's true, because actually like recently there's been plants like that where I'm just like, I could care less for you, but I've been giving it to my friend who's like starting to collect. Hey Ruth, love you.
Ruth is on the episode again.
Honestly, I'm jealous because she gets it in her care and it thrives. And I'm like, really? And I'm over here doing the utmost. And she's like, oh yeah, just water whenever, dry. That's it. I'm like, okay, well that plant belonged to you, so.
Well, and then, I'm a firm believer in frequencies, and they say that plants can sense our frequencies.
We talked about that too.
Yes,
you said that too.
Well, I tell you what, so Janae came to water my plants after a week of me being gone. And what do they look like?
They
together.
There was only like one like that pothos that was like struggling, but for the majority they were doing good.
And so when you're absent, when they don't feel, I'm convinced when they don't feel your presence, they know that. They know that something's different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like if they don't feel like someone's taking care of them, because in the wild, right, nature is taking care of them. The universe, whatever you want to call it, is taking care of them. When you take them out of that space and bring them into your home, they're dependent on something or someone to take care of them, and that person is you. So you are that entity. That's true. That's that they're connecting to. And that's what I believe. Listen, call me crazy, but
I think
they were upset with you.
They were.
Yeah, I say that like frequencies are real. Like the energy that we carry out throughout this universe, like it's real.
It's real.
And they can sense that.
Well, and if you talk about plants, and like I said, it's that common denominator. I mean, if you notice, all of us come from very diverse backgrounds. And even just the energy that we can just bounce off during a podcast, like to me, it's just an honor to have you here and just to have that open dialogue. I think plants go beyond just the plant. It goes with the individual, the conversations you have, the connections, right? Because I met Steve, we all kind of just found each other, and now that you're in this circle as well, and just it's just beautiful. I'm just at a loss for words when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And you always have a seat at the Cultivation Corner.
Always.
And
you're already welcome back.
I honestly just want to say, like, I love what you guys are doing. I love that you guys are all from different backgrounds. and I've been thoroughly enjoying the show. Like, and I can't wait to see like
Love
what
the
season 2
support.
brings for you guys. Like,
Thank
I'm so
you.
excited.
Thank
So thank
you.
y'all for having me out. I
Of
really appreciate it.
course.
So much.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
I'm definitely doing some research into trying to give people different options on self-watering planters. So I'm doing some
Right.
designing, some back work, trying to see if I can offer you
Awesome.
guys, something different than the square and the round pots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more cooler, a little bit more funky.
Line us up for that one.
Yo, like,
Love
come
it.
back
Yeah.
to the show. Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Uh-huh.
We can talk
Yeah.
about that.
And I don't know what this year holds for me. Maybe PlantCon again, maybe Texas Zero Show. Definitely working on my own Ethereum hybrids, like through Steve's, that has helped me so much. And yeah, I don't really know. I think that's it for right now. That I have in the works.
We're excited about that, especially the planters. You can go to
Yes.
PlantCon, Houston or Dallas.
Go to both. We'll be there.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
do
If,
both.
I love for them if they have me out again. It'd be
that would
something
be-
I'd
Yeah.
be
Come
so
on.
dope to do.
Come
Yeah.
on, PlantCon,
Yeah.
You got
y'all.
to.
I know y'all watch us too.
Yeah,
so
Okay.
Cultivation
Yeah.
Corner's ready for you.
We're ready.
Yes, for sure. They need to
Bring
have you
back.
guys out there for sure.
Awesome.
Well, it was an exciting episode again. Super thankful, Plant
Yes.
Poppy, for
Yeah,
being
thank you
with
guys
us.
for
having me. Yeah.
So my name is Richie at Grow Folds,
Janae from Janae Simone.
And Steve from I Live Plants.
and we are
Cultivation Corner. Bye.
Bye.
That was
On the next episode of Cultivation Corner,
I felt that it was a need that day when I saw it on Etsy and somebody was offering a $400 one leaf, one note cutting. Yes. I didn't think before I clicked. I did not think before I clicked. I clicked
400,
and I
one
dropped
leaf, one
$400 on a Syngonium tricolor
Oh
red
my
spot.
God.
Richie.
So I was excited. I'm like, ooh,